Hello and welcome to this short training session on mapping your customer journey. I'm Glenda Shawley and I'm the MD of Fabulous Networking and an experienced marketing consultant. How do your customers, your ideal customers, get from never having heard of you to becoming your loyal fans? That's what we're going to be talking about in this short training session. I'm going to share my screen, all being well, and then you will be able to see some notes along the way. And there I am, slideshow. There we go. The technology is being a little bit slow with me this afternoon, possibly the nut loose behind the wheel. But here we go. We're going to be talking about mapping your customer's journey, a guide to winning loyal customers. So the first thing we need to understand is what we're actually going to be covering today. So we're going to talk about how your customers reach a buying decision. We're going to identify where to find the moments of truth in that decision. Now, if you've not come across that term before, a moment of truth is a point, a touch point usually, where your ideal client falls off the decision-making bandwagon. It's something that doesn't meet their needs, or something goes wrong and they say, no, this isn't for me. So if you were going to a restaurant, for instance, and you got food poisoning when you went home, you probably wouldn't go back to that restaurant. So that would be a moment of truth. Equally, if the meal you were served was cold, and it was supposed to be hot, you may well decide that this restaurant isn't up to your standards and you wouldn't go back to that either. On the other hand, if the flowers on the table were looking a little bit in need of a change, but they were just about in life, you'd probably be a bit disappointed, but it wouldn't make a difference if the food was good and everything else was good in your decision about going back. So what we're going to be talking about today is mapping your marketing to your customer's buying journey, so that and all the processes that you use, so that you can avoid those moments of truth that go wrong. So let's start by thinking, how considered is your ideal customer's purchase? Now, a considered purchase is usually one where there is a degree of risk, whether that be financial or reputational or some other form of risk. Somebody is going to lose out on something that matters to them if they get it wrong. So at one end of the continuum, we've got the impulse purchase, that thing that we don't think about a great deal and we don't necessarily ask anybody else, we just go and buy it. Now, for some of us, that might be a pair of shoes or a handbag. For others, it might be the bar of chocolate, or it might be, that game that everybody's raving about. But it's something we don't think too hard about. At the other end of the spectrum is the considered purchase, the one that we take our time over, whether that time is days, weeks, months, and we probably will consult with other people along the way, asking their opinion, even if all we're doing is allowing somebody else to be our sounding board whilst we talk ourselves into a decision. Now, what is a considered purchase for some people may not be a considered purchase for others. So, there are people who can afford to, or just do, go and buy a car because they feel like it. There are others of us who will take our time over that decision, and we'll do lots of research and we'll talk to lots of people, and we maybe test drive quite a few cars. So what is one person's considered purchase may be somewhere further to the left of the continuum than it is for other people. But what you need to know is, what is the typical state of the purchase for your ideal clients? So what would the average or most of your ideal clients consider where would the purchase sit on this continuum for them, because you will need to map your marketing and your activities to the way that they buy. It's people buy in their timescales, not ours, and they buy for their reasons and not ours. And that's why it's so important for us to understand both their timescales, who they consult, and how long they take about it. And it is no good us trying to rush people into their buying decision, because even if we get them to spend money, they will stop and think, and they may feel they've been bullied, or they may be disappointed with the decision. So we should let people take the time that they need, but help them from one step to the next. So a typical buying journey on the considered continuum is where people go through 6 steps. Now, you will probably find different customer buying journey theories if you search the internet. Some will have fewer than 6 steps, some will have more, but this is the one that I tend to prefer. I do sometimes lump evaluation and trial together, but let's talk it through the 6 steps. So you go from awareness, so somebody who hasn't heard of you suddenly becomes aware of what you do and who you are. And then they become interested in your offer. They then weigh up your offer against other people, other competitors. And you're then on the short list, and you might even be further than that. You may be the one person they're considering, but they're not yet ready to fully commit. And so they're at the trial stage. And then people think they should stop marketing. But actually, it's just as important that we market to our purchasers and to those who are loyal fans. And I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as we go along. So let's start with the steps. So at each step, there are 4 things we're going to consider in some detail. We're going to think about what your ideal client is thinking when they are at that step, and who is involved with them at that point. So it might be people that they're consulting for recommendations, names, testimonials, etc. It may be that they're talking to users or somebody who controls the purse strings and trying to persuade them to let the purse strings open for a little while whilst they make that purchase. We're then going to look at the moments of truth and how you find those at each step. And then we're going to think about the marketing that you need at each step, the types of marketing that you would need. So let's start with awareness. So what are your ideal clients thinking at this point in their journey? They've undoubtedly got a problem. That's why most of us buy things. We've got a problem. Other people may not see it as a problem, but your ideal client does. And that problem is making their life difficult, disappointing, painful, or otherwise not optimum. And they are thinking, how can I solve this problem? Because we're not going to sell them something if it's not a problem that they want to solve. So at this point, they're also then thinking, where will I find a solution? And so they may turn to Google, or they may turn to people in their network, and they want names coming forward. And the other thing they tend to think when they find a name because Google's shown it to them, or because their network has mentioned it, I've never heard of you. You know, can you be any good if I've never heard of you? So who are they consulting at this point to get the names of people who can solve their problem for them? So it may well be that they reach out to their wider network, for example, through a Facebook group where they put in, can anybody recommend? Do you know somebody who does? So that's the question. Do you know someone who could solve this problem? And they might ask at the bar, or at the school gate, or in any other group that they're meeting with. and that can be done both virtually and in person. What they're looking for at this stage is names. They're not looking for a lot of detail. They just want some names that they can go and check out. So the moments of truth here are that they need to be able to find those names, that information they need quickly and easily. So if they're searching for something specific on Google, you need to be findable for that something specific that they're searching for. So your communication has to get their attention and answer their questions quickly. So for instance, if somebody searched in Google and your name has come up, perhaps, or they've got the first 10 names on that search page that Google shows them, hopefully your name is amongst them. But if you don't grab their attention easily and quickly, explaining how you meet or that you can meet the particular thing they've searched for, the chances are they will click on another business that has got their message more punchy and more relevant. So we really need to think about what the search terms our ideal clients are searching for in Google, so that we can use that language, and Google can then show them that we are capable of solving their problem. And it's the same really when our ideal customers are reaching out to people in their network for recommendations. We need to be known for what they want and what we do, what we want to do rather than just what we can do, because we're looking for business that is enjoyable and profitable. So what marketing do we need at the awareness stage? Well, we don't have very long at the awareness stage, so we need something that gets across in seconds. You know, it's often said that people will only give you 6 seconds to make that first impression. So we need to make that first impression a good one. So we need visibility. So whether that is with our websites are search engine optimized so they do appear on the first page of Google, or whether we make sure that we are known for what we do in our local communities and business networks, whether we have got billboards or advertising in places people look, that's really important that we're visible. And then we need to create an emotional connection with that person. So we need to show very quickly, because like I said, we've only got seconds, that we can help and that we understand the pain that our ideal client wants to move away from. And so the marketing tools that we're probably going to use at this stage are our website, social media, business networking, and even social networking, listing sites. So for instance, at Fabulous Networking, we get quite a lot of our visitors through a site called findnetworkingevents.com. And I know we have a number of our therapists who list in specialist journals or specialist websites that people will go to for recommendations and searchable locally. You might try advertising and signage as well. Your aim at this point is to move people from awareness to interest. People do not leap from awareness to being your biggest fan in one step. They don't generally, in a big purchase, go from awareness to purchase in one step. They take their time. They want to find out more information at each stage. They want their questions answered. So from awareness to interest. And at this stage, our ideal client is probably thinking, our names have been put forward. Yes, okay, you might be able to solve my problem. How do you do that? They probably also want reassuring that we really understand how that problem is impacting on that ideal customer. They want us to show a bit of empathy and for us to give them a bit of information about how we can fix their problem. So the question that they also have in in their minds at this point is, are you what I need? So at this point, they may well be influenced by other people. So they're probably looking at articles in the press, for instance, or online articles. They're looking at bloggers who specialize in the particular field that they're interested in. They may consult well-connected networkers who will know people quite well, because they'll have one-to-ones with them and they'll know rather more about them than just those people who meet at meetings. They will be consulting with people they see as experts. So we need to be known by the people that our ideal client sees as an expert, and we need to be known for being good at what we do, and we need them to know exactly what we do. That's one of the reasons why it's always important to talk about the kind of work we want more of, not the kind of work we say yes to just to pay a bill, when we're not actually very fond of that work, and it's not perhaps terribly profitable or exciting. So at this stage, what are the moments of truth? Well, our marketing material has to capture interest quickly and demonstrate that we can solve our ideal client's pain and make them feel better. So it needs to be punchy, it needs to address their concerns, it needs to talk about you, not we, so that they appreciate that they are the center of our concern and our universe. So what marketing do we need? Well, at this point, our ideal client is probably going to give us 2 or 3 minutes to demonstrate that we can help. So we need to show that we understand the pain and its impact, and that we have a solution. And that all needs to be consumable, as I said, in 2 to 3 minutes. So the kinds of things might be blogs, a short talk, demonstrations, newsletters, a display if you can put one out, giving people the chance to, if you have a product, the chance to feel it can be really helpful, and to have a proper look at it. Our website and maybe a brochure could help get that message across. And what we're trying to do here is to move the person who is a little bit interested to actually giving us some more time to have a proper look at what our offer is and evaluate us against the other options that they're considering. So at this stage, our ideal client is thinking, is yours the right solution to my problem? Are you any good? Are you as good as you say you are? So who are they consulting at this point? Well, it's usually by now people that they know and trust. So it might be team members, whether those are employees or virtual assistants or somebody like that, but somebody who's on their team. It may be that if they've got a mentor or a coach, they're consulting with them and taking their opinions on board. Or it may be that they turn to their professional advisors. So, a small business owner might turn to their accountant, for instance. Somebody buying for a wedding might turn to their wedding planner. You get the idea. And the other people they may well consult are your previous customers. So they want to know from those people, are you as good as you say you were? Did you keep your promises? So the moments of truth at the evaluation stage are, can they get the answers to the questions and information that they need quickly and easily without going through too many hoops? They will look at your offer in comparison with your competitors. And if you don't come up well in comparison, you will lose them at that point. So it's really important that you understand how you do compare with your competitors and what your strengths and weaknesses are vis-a-vis your competitors' strengths and weaknesses. And don't be afraid of losing some people to your competitors, because some won't be a good fit with you, but they'll be a much better fit with a competitor. We let those people go. There should be, if you're good at what you do, there should be enough people wanting to work with you. So the other thing that your prospect, your ideal client, is thinking at this stage is, do your claims stack up? Are you we've all seen all this golf on the internet, people achieving mass turnover and all the rest of it, making great profits and the like. Where's the evidence to prove that? You know, it's not all true out there. People are very good at bigging themselves up, and a person making a considered purchase will generally want evidence to say those are true. So what marketing do you need at this point? Well, it's about evidence. So that evidence might come in the form of testimonials, and a testimonial that is recorded as a video is infinitely more persuasive than a testimonial that says GS from Ealing says X, Y, and Z. You know, who the devil is GS from Ealing? Does that person actually exist? It may be case studies where you can talk through how you have helped another customer like them. So you give a sort of before picture of what you did and the after picture. Now you have to be a bit careful with case studies, because you don't want to make your existing clients look bad. And I know it can be difficult in some instances. For example, for a coach, that not everybody wants to own up that they were in a bad state beforehand. So you know, you might talk through a specific problem somebody was having, rather than painting everything as being they were completely hopeless until I walked in and saved them. You know, nobody's going to like that, and they're not going to want to be your next case study, so they might run away. Statistics and facts can really help. So, you know, have you helped somebody boost turnover? Have you got generated X number of inquiries from an advert that you've put, which has turned into Y amount of business, for instance? You know, how much money have you been able to save somebody by making a system more efficient, or selling them a piece of software that saved them loads of time, or whatever it is? But those facts can be really, really persuasive and helpful. And so can things like white papers, webinars, and videos, which showcase who you are, what you do, and how you do it, and give people that chance to make an assessment of your knowledge, skills, expertise, etc. So what you're trying to do here is to move people from evaluation to trial. Now, the edges between these stages can be quite blurred. So if somebody's watching your webinar in order to evaluate you, you know, they may see that as being enough, and they don't need any more from a trial perspective. On the other hand, they may want to try a low risk purchase in order to just check you out that little bit more before they invest a lot of time, effort, money with you. So at the trial stage, what are they thinking? Well, you could help me. I just need to be sure. Or at this stage, they may have made the decision that they want to work with you, but actually they don't control the budget. Or they are not the only person who's going to be impacted by the decision, so they want buy-in from others who will be impacted. So they may be thinking, I need to get Joe Bloggs to agree to this purchase. You know, that might be the finance director, or it might be colleagues on the team who are also going to use the bit of software, the bit of kit, or share a seat, or whatever it is that they're buying. So who are they consulting at this stage? Well, the people who could say no. For instance, the finance director, or their business partner, or members of their family. You know, people will rarely make decisions about where they go on holiday on their own. You know, they might produce the short list, they might get the quotes, etc., but they won't actually sign on the bottom dotted line until they've got buy-in from others who are going to be affected by that decision. The other thing we can sometimes do, if we don't have anybody who we can use as a sounding board, we will often use this sort of tweet on our shoulders, you know, that internal conversation we're having that's saying, is this the right decision? Could I do this instead? Or would that be a better choice? Or do I really need to spend this money? Do I really need to pay anything out? Or can I manage as I've been doing? So remember that your marketing needs to address all of these things to remove that doubt and to convince anybody else who's got to be buying in that this is a good decision. So the moments of truth. Well, if you can offer your buyer an easy, low-risk purchase that gives great value, that delivers more than you promised, that's going to be very persuasive and likely move them into investing more money. Because if you give so much for so little, what on earth are you going to give when they spend a lot of money? You also will need to have some supporting material or a way of helping the person you've been dealing with to deal with the points raised by those who could say no. Because if you don't do that, the person who can say no probably will. And you are not in direct contact with them, so there's little that you can do about it, and that purchase may have bitten the dust simply because you were not in a position to help the person who was trying to get the agreement. Also, you need a process for dealing with the abandoned shopping carts. You know, that moment where somebody doesn't go through with the purchase because they've had that moment of doubt, and that's where remarketing often comes in, and that might be bombarding people with advertising from all sides, or it may be, we noticed that you got this far with your purchase. Is there some more information that you need, or can we help you? What went wrong? And it's really important that your ideal client enjoys their first experience with you, because if they don't, they won't be back for the more expensive purchase. The other moment of truth is, I don't know where it's even right to call it a moment of truth, but it's about asking for the sale. If you don't ask for the sale, you may not get it. People don't always make that decision. They just need that helping hand to get them across the line. And if you don't give them that helping hand, and they have been considering another offer from somebody else, and they do give them the helping hand, you could have lost the sale again. So ask for the sale. Doesn't have to be a hard pressure thing. It's just, would you like to proceed? And then at the trial stage, what marketing do you need? Tools to convince those who could say no, as I was talking about. So maybe something like a buyer's guide, or a frequently asked questions, or perhaps a short demo video that maybe talks about results or demonstrates results, so that your buyer, the person you've been speaking to, can show the person who has got the veto, the ability to say no, what kind of person you are, what kind of business you are, how you can help. This can be where the discovery calls come in too. Too many people ask for discovery calls far too soon in the buyer's journey. People are not ready to give you the data that's required, the time that's required, or any money or any commitment. They don't really want to have their head above the parapet too soon in their buyer's journey. So a discovery call at the trial stage is probably the right place. Try and have something that is a low cost or low risk initial purchase, something that allows people to test you out, see what it's like to work with you, and just be reassured before they make that big purchase. If you can't do that, then a guarantee might well work. So if you promise that you will work with them until you get the results they crave, or you will give them a money back guarantee if they haven't achieved the results in X amount of time. Drayton Bird is one of my favourite copywriting experts, marketing gurus, and he has always had a guarantee that if by coffee, I think it's coffee, might be lunch, but on the first day of a program, you haven't felt that you have got the value to pay for your ticket, then he'll give you your money back and you go home. Trial periods is something that a lot of people use. If you look at most software these days, they have a trial period or a freemium offer. So the trial period is you get 2 weeks free, and then you upgrade. And they've often taken the credit card details beforehand so that you go straight from the trial period into paying for it. And you need to keep an eye on some of those. Or the freemium model, where you get a limited access to, often done with software, but can be other things as well. You get limited access to what is on offer without paying any money, and you get a much enhanced experience when you purchase. So at the trial stage, what we're trying to do is to lead our ideal client through to purchase. So at the purchase stage, they've spent their money, or they are in the process of spending their money, and they're excited to get going. And they think, I can't wait to get on with this. I can't wait to use this. I really want to get going now. There's also a little bit of that nagging, did I make the right decision? I hope I'm not going to regret this. So we need to make sure that we've got ways that helps people get going right away. So we need to think, who are they consulting at this point? Well, they're probably going to look for reassurance from other users, from mentors and coaches, and they're also going to want the reassurance from the voice inside their own head. So, that voice that says, should I really have spent all that money? Is this really the right decision? So the moments of truth are, how easy is it for your buyer to get going with what they have bought? How easy is the payment process? A while back, I wanted to buy a webcam. Knew what I wanted, did the research, found it at a good price, couldn't check out. The payment process on the website didn't work. I went and bought the webcam from somebody else, paid slightly more money, but I got it quickly. Something else that will affect your new customer at this point is the welcome that they receive from you. And if they don't feel that you value their purchase, that you value them, they're not going to turn into loyal clients. They're going to make the minimum of what they've paid for. And they're also looking for you delivering on promises and expectations. So as I mentioned, hot food served hot in a restaurant. A product must work, and promises that we make must be kept. Otherwise, we end up with people who are disappointed. And when they're disappointed at this stage, we've really pricked their bubble. And when we've pricked somebody's bubble, they don't really want to carry on with us. So, they will do the minimum. They will feel slightly resentful all the time. And it will be really hard work for us to get them back on side to become a loyal fan. So at the purchase stage, what marketing do you need? Okay, I can hear you say, well, they're customers now, don't need any marketing. I disagree. We need marketing at every step in the buying journey. So a welcome pack. Now your welcome pack may be a letter, or it may be a whole pack of stuff, depending on how complicated what people are buying is, what people are buying from you is. So that welcome pack may include user guides, instructions, handbooks, instructions on what to do if people have a problem. And it's worth being really clear about what to do if people have got a problem or a complaint, because the people who complain are actually people who care enough about what you're offering to tell you that it isn't working as well as it should. And if they give you the chance to put it right and you do so, they become your most loyal customers, and they're the ones who will be recommending you. So make it easy for people to complain or to raise their queries and problems by giving them contact details. I remember years ago, and I think it was the chap behind Richer Sounds who did it, who used to ring up new customers and say, is everything all right? You know, somebody, head honcho in a company, ringing up customers, is everything all right? Do we need to fix something? Those kinds of things make a massive impression on customers and make them feel truly valued. Another thing that can do is a thank you gesture, and you obviously need to choose your thank you gesture in a way that is commensurate with how much money they're spending with you. So sending them a £30 bouquet of flowers when they're only spending 50 obviously is not sensible. On the other hand, you know, sending them a small printed guide that has cost you 50p to put together might well be worthwhile, particularly if it's very helpful to people to make more of your service, or you know, it is really interesting to them. And it doesn't have to be hugely expensive to give great value. So at this point, what you're trying to do is to move your new buyer into that loyal stage where they really feel that they are a big fan of yours and they want to stay with you. So at the loyalty stage, they're thinking, that was a good decision. I'm really enjoying being here. And what you're hoping they're going to do is say, I would like others to benefit from this. You know, it's such a good offer that other people should know about it. And you want them to support this, to feel that they want to support you more by buying from you again, by referring their friends and business associates to you. So really what you're trying to do is to get people to feel that they're your cheerleader. They've got the flags are out and they're waving them for you. And at this point, they may consult with team members or other users who have been affected to see how they feel before they're prepared to go public. On the other hand, you know, if you have sold to an individual, the chances are they're not consulting with anybody else, especially if there's nobody else using what they've bought. They're just pleased to be happy, and their relationship is direct with you. So the moments of truth at the loyalty stage are how you deal with complaints and the things that go wrong. And inevitably, they will go wrong at some points for some customers. So it's really important that you accept that and move heaven and earth to put it right and to have your customer happy. And one thing I learned many years ago was that when people make a complaint, what they usually want is the problem fixed. Very rarely do they want their money back. They made a decision to buy the particular product or service because they wanted it. Just because it didn't work properly does not mean they don't want it anymore. So don't feel that you have to give people their money back. You have to fix the problem in a way that is acceptable to them. So just as an aside, the way to deal with that is to ask people what they would like you to do about the problem or how you can fix it, so that they suggest it. And you may well find that what they suggest will be significantly less expensive to you than what you might offer yourself. I think the other moments of truth here are how you say thank you for a referral. So, showing a bit of gratitude, and that gratitude can simply be a handwritten thank you card, or it may be something that has some monetary value, or well, I suppose a bunch of flowers has a monetary value anyway, but it doesn't give the money directly, but it still gives a really good feeling to your ideal client. And finally, it's how well you stay in touch with somebody, because we all have short memories, and we're all bombarded with more information all the time, from social media, from our networking, from the newspapers, from the TV, from podcasts, from videos, all these things all coming at us, and some of that might be coming from your competitors. So if you don't stay in touch with these people who've been really happy with their purchase, they're going to forget you. So it's really important that you have a strategy for staying in touch. So what marketing you need, the mechanisms for staying in touch. Those might be newsletters, and ideally you want those to go out on a regular basis at a set time, so people come to expect them, and have content that is predictable but not boring, so they know what kind of information is going to come through there, what kind of content, are they going to have a good laugh, so when they think about whether they open it, they can decide, do I open it now, or is this something I really want to have some time to read, or do I want to open it when I can have a really good laugh, not in front of my colleagues who are in the middle of the tube or something like that. Customer events can be a really good way. So a customer special can be a really good way of showing people appreciation. And they don't have to be in person. You could do a customer event online if need be, and if that works out better for you. A phone call. How are you? How are you getting on? It's a while since I spoke to you. Those can make people feel really good. And then greetings cards for, if you've got their birthday or wedding anniversaries or whatever, sending them a greetings card for that can be great. Sending a greetings card for Christmas or a festival that your particular client celebrates can also go down well. And then connect with them on social media, because that's a way of staying in touch, which is really non-intrusive, leaves them in control of how much, and if you share some content or congratulate them on something along the way, it's all helping build the relationship, but also keep you front of mind with them. So that's the considered purchase. I just thought it would be sensible just to have a quick look at the impulse purchases and making it easy for people to buy there, so that you just think about these things if you have identified that your sale is an impulse one. So you're looking at having the right point of sale material. So whether that's flyers, posters, things that go on the end of shelves, those bar things, whether it's posters in people's windows, whether it's the web page that people buy from, whatever it is, making sure that people have some persuasive copy, some reasons for buying that address why they might be motivated, not how long you've been in business, or we are the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's the, you will really enjoy this, you will benefit this way. And your packaging too can be really helpful with that. So getting the messages across, making people feel cared for. I have been a customer of Look Fabulous Forever for a period of time. Every time that I get a purchase from them, it comes in a silver foil padded envelope, which is a bit more special than your brown padded envelope. It is wrapped in tissue paper, it's got a label on, and opening it just feels so special. I've just bought something from Tropic, and that comes in a tropical print wrap. So again, it all feels special. So how can you make your client feel that their purchase is special and that they'll want to do it again? You also need to think about how easy is it for people to pay for what they want to buy. If it's not easy to pay, they will move on elsewhere, because if it's an impulse, they want it now. They don't want to wait for it. They don't want you to invoice them and then take 3 days to process it. They want to be able to pay for it now, and they want to be able to pay for it by a means that they trust. So probably something like PayPal, Stripe, or a bank transfer that they're in control of. And then you need to help them use what they have bought effectively and get straight into it. So the minute they open the box, can they start using their purchase? Is it easy for them to know what to do? How many times have you bought a computer or a mobile phone and thought, gotta wait for the son to come home so that he can connect it all up for me? Or, oh God, I've got to read this instruction manual, and I hate manuals. Oh, I'll put it off. The sparkle's gone out of the purchase by then. So we need to make it as easy as possible for people to start using it and discover more as they go. So that's the impulse purchases and making it easy for people to buy. So what's next for you? Well, accompanying this video is a template for you to map your customer's journey. And I'm going to show you an example in just a moment, but I want you to start thinking about what your ideal customers are thinking at each step in their journey. So I've given you some general pointers, but that's not specific enough to your business. So try and get in the head of your ideal client and think, what are they thinking at the awareness, then interest, then evaluation, then trial, then purchase, and then loyalty part of their journey. And make a note of that, because when you understand what they're thinking, you can use your language, your messaging to talk directly to their thoughts. And how powerful is that? Then you're looking for information. So you need to identify where your ideal clients are looking, what they need in terms of information, and who they ask at each step in their journey. So you'll be thinking in terms of how long people are going to give you at each stage for the information that you're going to convey. So short, that the amount of information you can give people increases the further they get along the purchasing journey, because the bigger the fan is, the more likely they're going to be to give you time. And then you're going to be thinking about your marketing. So what marketing could you do to help your ideal client move from the step they're on to the next? Now, this generally means having more than one tool at each step, because people don't always move in that straight line. So they might go from awareness to interest to evaluation and then hesitate. And so whilst they're hesitating, they may be looking at other options. They may be thinking, am I sure I'm ready to spend this money yet? They may be thinking, actually, I need to get to the end of the month to have enough money to buy, or I need to get this done before I can do that. So, for instance, we couldn't buy a new sofa until we had had a wall knocked through and some decorating done. So it may be that they've done the initial research, you're on the short list, but they're not yet ready to buy. But if you don't stay in touch with them at that point, you will lose them, because somebody else probably is. And they may not be as well organized as they would like to be, and they may lose the information that they had. We are waiting for the delivery of a sofa. We started looking for sofas 4 or 5 years ago. it's taken us that long to get to the point where we were ready to invest the money required to make the building works, to change the room that the sofa was going to be in, and then waiting for that to come, waiting for the sofa. So a 5-year journey. I once had a client who took 20 years before she used me, from first getting to know me. She didn't initially feel that she had a need for what I did, and it was some time before she did. So if you don't stay in touch with people, they will forget about you, or they will lose your contact details. And then the final step in the journey is to think about the processes that you've got. So think about what the moments of truth and the touch points are where you could lose your buyer. And then look at the processes that you have and refine those so that you make it as risk-free as possible for your business, that you will lose people at that point. So make sure that you've got watertight systems and things that will make sure that you don't lose people at a time when they are almost ready to buy or almost ready to take the next step. And then make sure that you have defined who is responsible for each step for each bit of the process, as it were. So a few more contact details there if you want some more help. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and I'm going to share with you a working document, and I stress working document. I haven't got our journey map completely implemented properly yet, but here is what I am working on for fabulous networking. Sorry, I need to come out of that. I need to go back to share screen. So here you can see that I've got a table, and this is the template that I'm giving you, with the 6 stages of the journey along the top, a little bit about the customer viewpoint. I think that needs some more work in terms of what they're thinking, and what questions they've got at that point. Then where do they look at that stage in their journey? So the awareness stage, people are looking at listing directories, they're searching on Google, they may be asking on social networks. They may even be looking for networking groups at other networking. And then when they're interested, they're probably going to check out the website, a brochure, looking at the invitation card, our Facebook page, and further information in the listing directories. I'm going to skip bits, so I'm not going to read the whole thing out to you, but for trial, we offer people the chance to visit. Well, we're now offering 3 meetings, so this is something, as I said, it's a work in progress. They may attend a social evening that we're running, or they may meet us at a business event like an expo, and get a feel for us there. Talking about who they ask, well, they're probably going to ask fellow business owners, their professional advisors, like their accountant or their coach or somebody like that. When they get to the evaluation stage, they're probably going to talk to our members or other networkers who know which networks offer what and which ones might be a good fit. Maybe they're going to talk to colleagues. So that leads us on to what the marketing and sales activities will be. So at the evaluation stage, website, YouTube channels, our social media content and how friendly we are in there. And that can be how our members respond to posts that we've either put out centrally or that other members have done, so they can see how supportive it is. It may be that it's the newsletters and invitation emails that help to move them to come along and visit a meeting. Then the meeting script can be important, the acknowledgement for the booking. All of these things need to be warm and friendly, and I do know that we've got some work to do on some of these. And then I've got the processes to be completed. So things like the listing sites to be updated at least a month ahead of the meetings, social media to be updated every week. I've got who is responsible in terms of sending reminders and welcome emails before meetings, and then a member being added to a Facebook group, Capsule and MailChimp. So Capsule's our CRM system. MailChimp is the means by which we keep in touch with people. So that's looking at the processes that need to happen, and then who is responsible for those things, making them happen. As you will see from this, this is not something you're going to get done in 5 minutes, but it is worth spending some time doing. And so I would suggest that you block out some time when you can and give this some really good thought, and that you reach out within our Facebook groups, within our community, to ask for help should you need it. So I hope that you found that training useful. I'm going to put back, stop share this, I'm going to put the contact details back to finish. So there you go. If you need to get in touch, the simplest way is to get in touch via marketing@fabulousnetworking.co.uk. And I'm Glenda Shawley. Also, I am frequently on LinkedIn, so by all means come onto our company page on LinkedIn and drop your questions in there. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this useful, and if you've got any questions, yeah, please raise them. All right, bye for now.